We begin 1,000 years after the fall of Va'ur, the fire demon. Our last surviving member of the group that fell the monster now meditates in the temple of his god. Altmer, a drow monk who once forsook his own race with a vengeful quest to eradicate all dark elves, now lives a much more peaceful life. One driven by hope and compassion. Coralon, his deity, sends a message into his mind. Altmer, it's time. You're needed again. My daughter, Lolth, she seeks to corrupt another world, another multiverse. You saved this world. I know that you can save them too.
Very well. I will inform the others.
His chamber doors open, an event that had not occurred in nearly 900 years, and he stepped free. He held in his hands artifacts from his adventures across the continent of Enarok. He gave them to his followers, the descendants of his first school, and he stepped free from the front doors to a changed world, one he would only get to be a part of for a moment. Are you ready?
I am.
And with that, he disappeared in a flash of light, appearing on a street corner. The town of Blackrock Wharf that he now found himself in was on the coast. The air was cold and misty. A light rain dusted his white robes and simple pack. He made his way to an inn, and then the real fun could begin. As Altmer now found himself in a new universe, a new multiverse. He found himself in In the morning, the peaceful town was awoken to the sounds of chaos in the streets. An inky black and purple rift was tearing its way free in the city's center, and it was spewing gray-skinned monsters of various sizes from another world right into the common area. They attacked everyone in the square, and even broke into nearby homes. Altmer, assuming that this was his cue, ran to confront the threat, but he did not find himself alone. 5 other figures joined him. An ASMR paladin named Radkiel swooped from over a nearby roof, whose glowing golden wings were complemented by his warhammer, the Verdict, a memento from his time with the Radiant Ones, the ruling force from his home of Celestia. Now on the run, he still wished to uphold his values and fight for what he believes in. His powers have been bestowed upon him by Tyr, the god of even-handed justice, and he released a battle cry as he leveled his warhammer at the enemy. They were grouping together in the town square, sensing an incoming threat, and they were right. Next was a Triton named Zariah, who landed on the ground next to Altmer like the crash of a wave. She was a princess of the Cthorian kingdom, a dynasty located within the elemental plane of water, and after the destruction of her home and the deaths of her entire family, was moving with the flow and picking up jobs and bounties wherever she could, just trying to forget what happened. With a flurry of her trident, a ring of water encircled her, and with every step, the waves at the docks seemed to swell and respond like soldiers to a general. Then there was Jugo, an elven rogue who almost appeared to emerge from the shadows themselves. He burst from a plume of smoke and feathers, wielding 2 large daggers fastened to gnarled chains that were around his wrists so tight, it appeared he was constantly bleeding. He was once a prisoner of the Raven Queen, the mistress of mystery, and was now a free agent on the run from her and from his memories of what he did at her command. And lastly, stomping up from behind the enemy was a massive bird, an axebeak nearly 8 feet tall, and its rider burst through a line of smaller creatures and secured themselves as the final member of the original bunch. A young half-elf named Rune would finish the group, a Beastmaster Ranger, and his companion was the axebeak Pex, also known as Sir Pexalot. They ran away from home and were just here to have fun. And that was the party. Altmer, Radkiel Ferrix, Zariah Cathorin, Jugo, and Rune. Together, they watched as one final figure emerged from the portal, a more humanoid creature with digitigrade legs large bulbous black eyes, and 6 fingers on its hands, it called out,
Selara, your time has come.
Together, they managed to fend off the threat, though not all was well, as with their defeat, the portal closed and the mystery began. As we learned alongside Altmer,
that doesn't just happen. Rifts are fixed, permanent. There are no new portals. This is worse than you could possibly imagine. This isn't over. This is just the beginning.
Eventually, the captain of Blackrock Wharf's guard caught up with the party and urgently requested that they take a message to the Emperor. He believed that they were just attacked by devils and that the Emperor had to be warned that they were stirring again. Their town courier died in the attack, and another wouldn't be in for weeks. And so with that, their first mission began, to take word of this threat to Emperor Frederick Macetus, and hope that he could help in some way. The group finally reached a town. After many encounters on the road, they could put their feet up for the night and rest. Here, they picked up a job or two. They found some missing lumber, fought some bandits, and Altmar learned a little bit about this strange world and its many differences from his own. For one, he learned that gods were more personable here, with their spirits permanently inhabiting mortal bodies and living amongst the people that worship them. Further on their journey to New Star, they ran into a haunted mansion, a manor once lived in by the mortal incarnation of the Reaper, a deity that Jugo finds great adoration for, and hopes she can help free him from the Raven Queen's gaze. After this, though, they finally made it to New Star, and therein they found the Emperor. Reaching his keep at the city's apex, they spoke with the secretary in the entryway, who said after His Majesty's meeting, the party would be more than able to speak with him and request his aid. And so, they waited. Finally, the Emperor emerged from his chambers, and when the party stood up to introduce themselves, they saw that he was meeting with none other than emissaries from Hell, devils. Radkiel and Zariah instinctively reached for their weapons, but were quelled by the rest of the party. Is there something here that I can help you with? Prothalia and Chironix here were just leaving.
We have something very important to show you.
So, I see. The Emperor, while initially skeptical, trusted in the word of his appointed captain, and would begin a silent investigation. He explained that the devils have been staunch allies since his great-grandmother brokered a peace with them nearly 150 years ago. But he would send guards to the town, and this would not be ignored. In the meantime, however, the party were more than happy to attend the town-wide festival for his daughter's 16th birthday. After all, they were already here. And so the party set about to kill some time and discover exactly what the city had to offer. Zariah was shocked to find her mother's trident, harbinger, a royal heirloom, lost in the destruction of her home, sitting collecting dust in a magic shop here within the city. And while the price was too high for them to pay, and the shopkeep, an elven mage named Ungalmo, wasn't moved by her sob story, he did say that if the party went and won him a potion from a secret underground tournament, he would be more than happy to trade the trident for that. And so, that's what they did. They found the Swords of the Suitor competition underneath a temple in the Workers' District, and they destroyed everyone in their way. Ultimately, Zariah got her mother's trident back, and they also snagged a few other prizes too. But then, it was time for the festival. All day, it was non-stop drinking, partying, and relaxing. There was wrestling, wild magic, and Rune made a friend in the Emperor's youngest son, Gabriel, and he gave them both a ride on Pex, much to the Emperor's dismay. And as the day neared its end and the ceremony was to begin, Jugo took a ride on the Ferris wheel, and as he watched the sunset, he let loose a single tear, as he once again had friends, and happiness. He was becoming whole again. The color of his life was returning. Once the sun had set, though, the group came back together, and sat down to watch the crowning of Princess Aliana and the beginnings of her royal duties as next in line for the stewardship of the Massadus Empire, should she be eventually voted in and ratified by the people. And the instant the ceremonial crown touched her head, a rift opened in between the stage and the crown, and it again released monsters out into the world. The party sprung into action, and much like last time, a commanding figure stepped out amongst the legion of grey abominations, and took charge. A large figure, nearly 10 feet tall, with 4 arms, long curved horns, and bull-like legs. He brandished a sword in each of his arms, and he leveled them at both sides, to the people, and the royals.
We will not be forgotten again.
With the royal court rapidly being escorted away, the party got to work, and they noticed that as soon as the fight began, the devils from the meeting before suspiciously had ducked away. The fight was close again, with these creatures proving themselves to be time and time again serious threats. After the fight, though, and with the victory of the party, the portal again closed, and they went to find the Emperor. They found him in his office with the 2 devils, Prathalia and Kuronix, and they had something to tell the party.
Those weren't devils. They were demons. Creatures from the abyss. We've seen them before.
They've only ever come from their realm into Avernus, but now it seems they no longer suffer from that restriction. If they're here, it means their appetites have grown.
Devils, demons, I don't care. They came from my home, threatened my family, and I want them dealt with. You 5, deal with this. I'll pay you more money than you've ever seen. I just want my land safe and the world demon-free. And with the tossing down of a bag of holding filled with 1,000 gold pieces and a writ giving the party some say in where they can go and what they can do in every plane that the Massadus Empire has in their good graces, the mission was on. The forgotten plane of the abyss was tearing itself back into the wider multiverse, and that had to be stopped. First stop, find someplace old, really old, from before the plane was sealed away. It was time to venture to the Fae, to the place of first life.